Good morning and welcome to the Saturday preview. As ever with myself, David Massey. Friday morning it is, clock in the background tells you what time it is. It's not 1:30, it's 10:30. Looking at that in reverse. 10:30, I will be off to York in about a couple of hours time for their evening meeting. I'm going to be working there tonight. And then we're off early doors to Ascot tomorrow, and I've got Pontefract on Sunday, so a busy weekend coming up. I had a look at the Saturday cards, and of course we've got the usual problem when rain is around of how much we're getting, where it's going to come, what time it's coming, all that sort of thing. At the moment the ground's on the quick side at both Ascot and York, but if the rain that is expected arrives, I think there's more to do at York than there is at Ascot, then of course that's going to change things a little bit. But for the time being, I can only do what we can do. As I say, I'll actually put what I bet tomorrow morning up. I may take a chance on one or two today. I might bet one or two today, given that rain looks more certain to come than it does at Ascot. But we'll get into that as we go through the preview. 3 races at Ascot to have a look at, and a couple at York as well. First one I want to look at Ascot is the Porsche Handicap. The one time of the year that Porsche sponsor a race. I'd love them to come to Sutherland, Fakenham and sponsor a few, but I can't quite see that happening somehow. It's a mile on the straight course, just the 8 runners, but I think it's an interesting little contest. The reason I think it's quite interesting is there should be some pace on here. You've got Wings of Time, who has made all at Newmarket last time and led the time before when he got beat. You've got Motor Kyle, who made just about all at Newmarket, albeit on his own, and you've also got Wings of Time in here, who not Wings of Time, sorry, Q8 Currency, I should say, who has led in the past. He's in no form, Q8 Currency. I don't think he's a threat to anything, but he tends to get on with it as well. So of the 8 runners, you've got 3 of them that should make this a reasonable test. And I wonder whether it's worth giving Beatboxer another chance. You need an excuse for that run at Ascot last time, behind Biometric, but you've got a ready one. It was in the Britannia. You've got a ready one in so much that was on much softer ground than he might encounter. Again, I say might. Again, depending on rain, but if it stays on the quick side, and I just think the ground was against him. It didn't quite fall his way either, Beatboxer's way. If you look at the run before at Haydock when he's won over a mile, that was in a pretty rough race, and again, I think he did really well to win that. Actually, I think he did well to win that, and look how well that form's actually worked out now. The 3rd and the 4th have come out one since. The 5th has run well at Chester, didn't get beat far. The 7th and the 8th have both come out and won. That's a really good piece of form that's working out well. And if he'd come here off the back of that and not run at Ascot, I'd suggest to you he'd nearly be favourite for this. But that Ascot run makes him possibly a slightly bigger price than he should do. And as I say, as a hold-up horse, he ought to get this run to suit. Straight mile is a question, but it's only a small question for me rather than a round mile. It's only a small question. I think he's got chances here, Beatboxer. And the other one that was sort of moderately interested in the race was down the bottom, Prince of Hearts, who, for very much the same sort of reasons really, a hold-up horse in a race that's going to be run at a solid pace, and he has got course and distance form. He was 3rd over course and distance last time to Red Armada, rolls up off the same mark here. I think Holly Doyle is a plus. Drawn at okay in stall 8 if he wants to come around the field. Again, very similar really to Beatboxer. I think you've got 2 horses that will appreciate a hold-up pace, and that are in form coming into the race. I like them both. How I'm going to play the race, I haven't quite decided yet, and I may not even have a bet if the rain does come. In fact, to be honest, if the rain comes, I'd be more likely to go with Prince of Hearts, who has got some form earlier in the season. I think he was second at Nottingham on softer ground. So he has got some soft ground form. I'd be more tempted to go with him than I would be Beatboxer. But as I say, all up in the air. Let's see what tomorrow brings. Then we've got the International, it's normally a race I do all right in this. In fact, generally speaking, these 7 furlong handicaps at Ascot, because you get the same horses rocking up for them more or less time and time again. And again, you can make cases for nearly all of them, you know, the likes of Raising Sand and Spanish City and my old friend Ripoff. You know, Ripoff's got to be, yeah, he's got to be on the shortlist, I think, for this Ripoff, because he's not ground dependent these days. He ran perfectly well. In fact, I thought he ran again. I think you can mark the effort up in the Bunbury Cup because he was held up off the pace, and he did best of those that was held up off the pace. Came through late, only got beat 2 lengths. If he'd been a bit nearer the pace, I think, you know, it would certainly have been in the 4. So I think you can mark that effort up a little bit, and it wouldn't surprise me to see him reverse form with Vale of Kent. Drawn 26 is okay. There is some pace. There is some pace around him. In fact, there's an even spread of pace really here across the course. There are front runners drawn low, middle and high. So I don't particularly think there's a massive draw advantage from that score. So I think Ripoff's interesting. But again, you're not getting a great price. You're getting 8 to 1 about him. I tried to find something that was a bit sort of, you know, out of the, you know, a bit left field and something a bit out of the box. And the only one I could sort of come up with really was Another Bat. And you're going to need you'd want a whopping price about Another Bat, because his last 2 efforts have been awful, to be perfectly honest. He's got beat 23 lengths at Newbury and then 58 lengths at Chester. Now, that doesn't tell the full story at Chester, because it was his first run for Richard Hughes. He was drawn out wide at Chester. He had no chance from his draw. And he was eased right off in the final 2 furlongs, as were a lot of the horses. They got beat. I think the last 5 home got beaten absolute wickets. He's been dropped another £2 on the back of that. Now, this is his second start, as I say, for Richard Hughes, so he's just sort of finding his feet for the trainer. His Ascot record is mixed, to say the least. He's had 4 starts here, 2 of them haven't been great, but he did get beaten just a neck over 7 furlongs on soft ground here back in 2017. And then his better run came when he was 4th to Sharjah Bridge in the Balmoral Handicap here last year. Now, that's a run that's quite interesting, because he led at the furlong pole that day. Balmoral Handicap is a mile. He led at the furlong pole and just weakened close home. If he can repeat that, and it is a big if, it's a big if, the only clue that you've got that he retains his ability is the fact that he wasn't beaten far in the Lincoln this year. He finished 6th, got beaten just over 4 length by odds there, which sort of hints at the fact that the ability might still be there. In my head, I've got it that they've got an autumn campaign mapped out for Another Bat. But another plus point I should point out, by the way, is that he's had a break. He's had a 78-day break. Now, I sort of had a look at his record off a break, and actually, his record off a break is pretty good. He finished 9th after a 200-day break, which I'm happy to forget, but 2 shorter breaks were that 4th in the Balmoral, and then a win at Maidan first time up this year off a break. So he can go well off a break too. Listen, he's 33s. I'd want almost that as a minimum, I think. But we are going to get the places. We'll get 6 places probably tomorrow on the race. And again, a spot of rain certainly isn't going to harm his chance. I thought he was moderately interesting at a price. If you're trying to find something outside of the norm, outside of your rip-offs and your Raising Sands, and again, Raising Sand, another one if the rain comes tomorrow. If the rain comes, Raising Sand will probably go off favourite, I think. I put him up at Ascot and I thought he had a right chance. I was stood at the 2 pole at Ascot, and when they went past me, Nicola Curry was absolutely stood up in the saddle, and I thought, this is how far this wins, and didn't really get the best of runs through. I just got in the frame instead, but so might have been a little bit unlucky at Ascot last time. It's a wide open handicap. I was just trying to sort of play devil's advocate and find something a little bit outside of the box, and I thought Another Bat was, as I say, mildly interesting, but 33s would be a sort of minimum that I'd want, to be perfectly honest. As far as the big race itself goes, I think it's a really good race, isn't it, the King George? But is there a betting angle in it? I'm not so sure that there is. I think Enable is obviously an incredibly solid favourite around about the sort of 4.6, 4.7 mark. The fact that she's been drawn 11 is of no bother whatsoever. It's of no consequence, I don't think. I can see her just sort of tucked in behind the pace. There's 2 or 3 here that's going to want to go on, including including a pacemaker, and Salwan's in there as well. Salwan likes to get on with it as well. Hunting Horns in there to make the pace. I think I don't think there's an each way angle into the race, because unfortunately I think either Enable or Crystal Ocean is the most likely winner. So you're only playing for a place anyway, for one place, I think. And as I say, I think whatever you do, you're backing a horse that probably can't win the race. So I don't see any great value in playing, certainly with, I mean, if there's a market tomorrow without the front pair, then that might make things a bit more interesting. I do like Defoe. I'm a big Defoe fan, as you know. I put him up for the Coronation, and he's done nothing but improve this year. Probably wasn't at his best in the Hardwick, it has to be said. Only got only 1/2 a length, and might have been a little bit lucky that day. Well, you know, but I don't think the race was particularly run to suit him. I think a faster run race will suit. Drop of Rain won't harm his chance either. But again, can he beat both Enable and Crystal Ocean tomorrow? I don't think he can, to be perfectly honest. So I think it's a race to watch at the moment. I may change my mind on that if the rain really comes and alters things around a little bit, but I don't particularly want to have a bet. I don't particularly want to have a bet at the moment. I'm happy to sit it out. So I'll have a quick look at York instead. The first race, 2:05. The Get Knotted handicap, and of course our old friend Get Knotted is in here. Has no doubt been laid out for his own race. Nevertheless, you know, 7-2 looks plenty short enough. He's run all right this season without setting the world alight. And I'm surprised he's quite as short as he is, I have to be perfectly honest. I like One Era to price. Now we are, as I say, we are going to get the rain. We are going to get the rain at York, excuse me. We are getting the rain at York. And with that, I thought the interesting one here might be Paris Mountain. I'll get the caveats out of the way first. I'll just wonder whether he's up to this grade. It's a grade 3 race. He's arguably a sort of grade 3.5 horse. And when he drops down to class 4s, he sort of outclasses them. And then in this sort of a grade, he'll run okay. He can run okay. He has won in this grade. And he has won here at York in this grade. But you are sort of going back a bit. But the things that sort of interest me a little bit, you know, he's just gone with the hood all season, and last time at Musselburgh they put the tongue tie back on. He has won with the tongue tie before, and he's won without the tongue tie before, so he doesn't have to have the tongue tie. But I just think it's interesting that they sort of got his mark down a little bit. They knew it was a bit too high, and now the tongue tie is back. He's now on a mark of 82, which is his last winning mark. Go back to November, red car at the end of last season when he won it. He won quite nicely. Again, it was in class 4 grade, but it was on soft ground. And I think that's a key point. It was on soft ground. If the ground turns soft tomorrow, I think Paris Mountain definitely comes into this. Not only that, there's only a couple of pace angles in the race. There's Love Dreams and him, and the rest of them, to varying extents, tend to be held up. So I can see Love Dreams going off in front and Paris Mountain maybe just sat in behind. Listen, his form this season isn't great. The red car run 2 runs back gives an indication that all is not lost. He wasn't beaten very far that day. He finished 8th, but he only got beaten just over 3 lengths, I think. So it gives indication that the ability is still there. And a mark of 82. I thought there was just about enough for me to get involved. He's sort of 20-1 as I speak. And I think that's fair enough. And he's the one horse that I'm thinking of backing now, in the hope that the rain really comes. Because if it does, as I say, I think it's in his favour, and it's very much against a few of the others. So I'm going to back Paris Mountain when this bid's done. I'll find the best price and see what I can, and have a few quid each way. And the other one that needs a quick look at is the 240, the Sky Bet Dash 6 furlong. My word, this is just, how difficult is this? That you can literally make cases out for almost everything in this field. Almost everything. It's that sort of a race. Flying Pursuit, again, if the rain comes, is probably going to go off favourite. Winner of this for the last 2 years. And somehow Tim Easterby's done a job where he's got him in off a lower mark than last year. He won it off 94 last year. He's 92 this. I would say though, if you're backing Flying Pursuit, then I think you've got to be with Growl as well. 5 furlong at Ascot last time on good firm ground. Not his bag at all. Not his bag. You're happy to put the pen through that. Go on the York run the time before when he was second to Gulliver, and he made a lot of good ground up late that day, and that was on fast ground as well. that sort of showed he was back to some of his better form, not his best, but his better form. A little bit of cut will help him as well tomorrow. He's well drawn in 5. He's got pace either side of him. He's got Stacked on one side, Music on the other to give him a toe into the race. And I think if you're backing Flying Pursuit, then I think you've got to have a bit of Growl as well, because he, Growl did beat him fair and square when he was second to Gulliver, and Flying Pursuit was back in 8. So I think the two of them might be the two to concentrate on tomorrow. But as I say, it's how open is it? It's a wide open race, and at the minute I'm happy to sort of just sit and wait and see what happens. Again, we're going to get extra places on the race. It's the Sky Bet Dash. They're going to be paying 5-6 places tomorrow, so just hang on and see what places we get, and I'll put the bets up in the morning. Have I got a best bet tomorrow? I do like Paris Mountain. I think 20 to 1 looks a bit of value, and as I say, he's the one at the moment that I'm going to bet today, as it were. So Paris Mountain, hopefully best bet of the day. Okay guys, best of luck over the weekend. I'll be back on Tuesday. Thanks a lot.